Alright, so let's get on with the modeling. Now we're gonna be modeling a power cell, and we're gonna be talking a lot about design, distribution of details, blockouts, the transition from main details like a primary detail to secondary detail to tertiary detail, when to do it, how to do it. So it's gonna be a bit more design talk. I think it's gonna be really beneficial for a lot of you guys, because that's what most of the people struggle with. It's either design or creating your own models or presentation. Okay, so we're gonna be using add-ons, of course, because reasons, and I'm gonna be moving quite quickly, but I'm gonna be explaining what I do, of course, as usual. So it's not for beginners, but if you're a beginner, you can still stick around and see. Probably gonna learn something interesting just by watching. However, if you're a beginner, then you probably should be watching our free course, which is called Jumpstart Hard Surface in Blender. It's a good place to start learning Blender. It's most likely the easiest and the fastest way to get into hard surface, because we will teach you all the foundations, the tools, the UI, the basics of modeling, hard surface, etc. in just a few hours. And like I said, the course is free, so go ahead, grab the link in the video description and enjoy. So let's get started. Yeah, we're gonna start with the mesh, so cylinder, and we're probably gonna go with something a little bit more dense. Yeah, so let's go with, I would say, 80. Let's scale it up here. Now we're going to grab a loop here and gonna create like a lip here in the top, and we're going to move this one up, and we're gonna alt and macro this one in to create this kind of a shape. Let's grab a few faces here and just Alt A with machine tools and Alt X with mesh machine. Okay, done. Now before we do anything, let's run some loops, because reasons, we're probably gonna need them, because we're gonna be cutting stuff in here. So let's just quadrify this a little bit and run a bevel, okay, and then weighted normals. So this should do for now. Okay, so that's a very basic shape. You can see that we have this uneven distribution, really nice breaking of symmetry, thinner top, thicker bottom, really cool stuff. Okay, this bottom could be actually a little bit thicker, so let's expand that and S Shift Z, make it a bit thicker here. There we go. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to create a thread in here. So in fact, I don't really need these edges. I kind of acted prematurely on this one. We're gonna dissolve these, select that, and we're gonna go with right click and machine tools thread. If you don't know how to use machine tools, in fact, you know what, before you do that, let's actually drop this one down a bit here and Alt and macro that, and then delete this one and re-edit. Okay, and let's see how this will look, right? So thread here, boom, that looks really cool. Maybe it's a little bit too dense, so one more time, and just fewer threads, something like that. And then we can insert that, drop it down, scale it, add some edges, and just cut it here with a box cutter. So we could in fact run an end gun cut here like this. Alright, mirror, and then simply operations multiply, boom. So that's a basic thing in top here, and then on the bottom, and then on the top we can just expand this one a bit to something like this. Let's switch to box and cut in here in the middle, like that. And then let's actually cover this cutter, add a loop here, and we're gonna sort of change the shape of this cutter here. I'm going to mirror this to all sides. Now this cutter needs to be mirrored properly to both sides, so let's just mirror the cutter itself and here as well, so we make sure that it's actually symmetrical, because I want these sides to be asymmetrical, so I'm not gonna be able to use a mirror later on. Okay, so this looks pretty good. This could be a little bit thicker, as Shift Z, something like this here. Yeah, and then we can run a chamfer here because we have space, so let's run a chamfer here. There we go. Oh, I started to like this. Cool. We got some beef here with edges. Obviously, this is too close to the bevel, so we can just move it away and it's gonna be fine. Don't overthink the shading problems. Okay, this is not pharmacy. You don't have to be super accurate as long as it works. Yeah, mirror done. So from now on, we're gonna have to be careful with mirrors, yeah? So let's recover this, and here in the middle, we're going to run a cut like that. Press B for bevel, slice it. Then let's recover the cutter's cutter, which is this one, and slice it in here like this, okay? Which is gonna be pretty cool. And I think, this is good enough. Here on the side, we could create another large element. So select this and, well, run a cut here like that. Maybe a little bit larger. Maybe not as deep, but wider like this. And then bevel it and press J, E, and extrude it in here and the other way. Come on. And apply. Are we looking? That's a little bit too aggressive. Let's move it in. There we go. And also, let's run the chamfer. Now, when you run the chamfer, you're gonna remove a bevel, which is a little bit problematic. So let's nuke this, and then we're gonna run the bevel manually on this cutter, like this. And that's good enough. Cool. And then we can actually slice the opening here. Now, there's a problem in here. So what we could do is nuke this because this edge doesn't contribute to anything at the moment, so we don't need it. Either that, or you can just drop it down, okay? The one in the middle we don't need because it's a flat surface. Don't worry about it. If you really want it, you can add it and combine it, but honestly, it's not that important. You can mirror to the other side and click that, which is gonna re-add the edge. Mesh Machine simply removes it by default. So here, click on the dots. So we hold control in perspective mode. You're gonna be in perspective mode. You can actually run a circle and then press GY. So we can drop it. Remember, it's rotated, so it's gonna be GY. Shift T to taper and space. Tapered shapes gonna read better, especially when you bake them. Now we got some problem with connections here. I can see that in this one. When I'm gonna apply this, you'll see what I mean? It goes like so steeply. Let me recover this cutter here. Not this one, this one. And let's just run a loop here like this. So go to cutter, cut it, K and knife, and it's gonna fix this problem here because now we got a cut coming through the circle. Blender has this weird condition of connecting edges in the worst possible fucking way. So here we want additional cuts on this side to make it a bit more, we started moving to secondary shapes now because the primary shape is established. So we start adding secondary shapes like this one here. Another one I want to add here. I want to add like a cut here, but not a knife cut. I want it to be a regular cut, and I want to run it in here. Press B for bevel and just cut it through and click, shift click, so we can actually rotate it because you see it's crooked. So hold shift, rotate it to more or less match the angle, and we're good to go. And check if the shading is okay. If it's not okay, just move the cutter a little bit here and there, and it's gonna be peachy, you know what I mean? Don't overthink it, okay? Just move things about and everything is good. Here we could actually add a chamfer. I think it's gonna look interesting. Potentially. Here we're gonna add cuts, like tiny ones. W for wedge, and then just move your mouse and cut it. Now we could add all kinds of cuts in here. We could do something like this, or hold control at something that's called perfect wedge cut. But this is a little bit too deep. So what we're gonna do is ever scroll this, right? We're gonna grab this face here and go to Q menu and mesh tools and align view, right click, assign shortcut Control Q, okay? So when you're gonna press Control Q, this is gonna happen. and click, and then we're going to cut it. So we need to cut this bit here, right? You see that? So one more time, Control Q and click, and then we're going to cut it like this. No, one more time. One more time, press W to turn off the wedge cut and cut it like that. And we're gonna get this nice cut in the corner. This is what I want. And then we're going to array this down. So X and where is it? Just hold Shift and do something like this. Make sure you're not causing yourself any problems, any grief. Just move them about a bit, and you're good to go, right? That looks cool. See, like that frames this entire empty space. You got a double framing because you got these elements here on the sides. That looks really cool. I am happy with that. All right, cool. And then we're gonna have another cut here on the top. We're starting to design, an interesting shape all around this power cell. I'm beginning to like it. So here we could have some additional elements. What the fuck is this? Oh, it's this one. Right. So we have that. This is actually a bit too deep. So let me see. Grab this one. Grab this face here in the back. And GX and move it in. So it doesn't really interfere with this shape here. There we go. That's better. So when I apply it, right, operations multiply, it will not bother me in here. Do you know what I mean? So now here on the top, we could have some fun. So I will just chamfer that for fun. You can mirror, no, we can't mirror, see, that's the problem. So we have to chamfer both of them. Because if you run a mirror this one to the other side, we want to have it asymmetrical. So now we're gonna have to go through the pain of remirroring something manually. This is a way to dance. It's gonna cause problems, if you're gonna try to run something on it, it's just gonna be an absolute bastard because it's so dense. I think 6 is way more than we need. It's a small element, doesn't have to be super smooth. Okay, so and since we have mesh machine, we can do that. Perfect, that's better. So now we can add some stuff on the top. So here we're going to run a wedge cut like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna run a cut in the middle here. In fact, this could be interesting. Hang on. Ooh. That's a little bit too... I need to narrow it down slightly. So SX. When you scale something like this, you need to reapply scale because you will have problem with bevels. So watch this. Apply scale. Boom. See what I mean? Not solidify bevel, and I'm gonna scroll it down because that's insanity. Something like this will do. And there's a problem here. I wonder why. There we go, that's better. We will have to fix this angle here because the bevel doesn't catch. We're gonna add the bevel weight later on. So we need to mirror this across this one. So boom, like that. And then we're gonna scale this. So scale this in. And I think this cutter here also isn't mirrored. There you go, that was a problem, okay. So I have a scroll. The problem is that we cannot run a mirror on this one, so we need to really make sure that the cutters are mirrored across the mesh. So that was my bad. Cool, now it's working, and now we can operations multiply. We can just grab this one and go LP, whoa, LP, bingo, and maybe I'm gonna run something different here, change my mind. I'll do something like this maybe. Hang on, let me just clean mesh on this one. Operations clean mesh. There we go. And just run a bevel here. And maybe run a bevel here as well, because why not? That could be interesting. In fact, what we could do is run bevel on both edges and press C to clump it, and then 3 to clean it. And it's going to be quite interesting. There you go, that's kind of cool. And we could scale this, so Shift S to geometry, scale it in a little bit. I like that. Now we got beef on these because of the connections. You see, these connections are causing a lot of problems. So we could simply run a connection here like this and remove this one. And it's still causing problems, which is interesting. We go to occlude and see what's happening in here. What's going on here? I think it's this one. This is what's causing problems. This is simply too, the bevel is simply too deep, yeah, so you see that here? Hang on. Let's run a loop here, drop it down, connect these two, and then move this one in here like this, okay? And then we're gonna have to fix this. So basically remove this face, move this one here, and then let me see that. Grab all these. Okay. And move them back. And then press and face. And now unfortunately we can't mirror this to the other side. We can mirror it in here. Oh no, we can't because of this as well. So we're gonna have to fix this manually here too. And that's okay. So here we're gonna run the edge. We could also make the bevel smaller, but honestly I want to keep the bevels because they're nice and stuff. Oh, there we go, that fixed itself. But I still need to move this face a little bit back. So again, this, drop it down, come on, the whole thing. Drop it down, connect it. Move it backwards, there we go. Just let's remove the faces, connect these, move these back here, and create a face and Bob's your uncle. You know, you gotta learn how to fix these problems because you're gonna be running into them all the time. So, you know, it's good to know how to fix these, yeah, and what's causing them, yeah. The cause here is the bevel, you know, it's just simply too big and it's overshooting in this area, so this is why it's causing this, whoops, wrong boolean, shading problem, so, you know, we have to fix it, yeah. But we have tools to do it, so no worries, just clean this, there we go. And the last one is here, so there we go. In fact, yeah, we have to do it manually as well, so move it in, combine it here, and actually we can do it this way and move these back, boom, and sort it. Oh, clean mesh removed our clean mesh removed our supporting loops here, so we're gonna have some shading issues, but you know what, that's okay. We can fix it another way, so we can just go here like this, press K for knife and slice it, go here, slice it, and go here. Just move this up a little bit, there we go, and go here and slice it, and we should be more or less fine. And then we could just, you know, keep stacking some details in here. So on this side, I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. I really like this to be so, you know, kind of clean over there. We could have some kind of an echoing detail here maybe. So let's just go to cuts and kind of create some cut in here. So let's just go with bevel and like that. And let's just move it up a little bit. So here like this. And then maybe go with solidification, right? And then we cover this and move it across the frame. That looks really cool, yeah. That looks really, really cool. And we could also kind of drop it down a bit. So operations multiply, grab this one and this one, and then LP, oops, L, and then P selection, there we go. So select both of them, Shift S and 2 geometry, there we go. And then we can scale them a bit, but we're gonna scale them on individual origins. I want to kind of drop them down, do you know what I mean? I think it's gonna be interesting. Or move them up. Or that's even better, kind of like buttons, you know, you press them to release it. That's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna bring them even higher. Like this, and then what we can do is insert this one and drop it down, right? And maybe drop the bevel a little bit so it doesn't overshoot. Cool. So we got that. This one obviously needs a, you know, mark sharp here. We need to change bevel to weight, so it's actually gonna catch this angle here. And okay, let's just sharpen everything. There we go. And recalculate sharpen. We need sharpen in here, and boom, that's that. Same here. You could just mark it sharp, but this is not gonna do much. So let's just recalculate sharpen, run edges here, and shift bevel here to weight. So we're gonna have bevels in here. Sweet. So that's that. And let's see how we're looking. Yeah, we're looking pretty cool, you see. So now we have the main design is fleshed out. You got some really nice secondary details. It's kind of like a beginning of tertiary details here. And now we can start really, you know, adding smaller details to it. So if I was, you know, adding tertiary details, I probably would do it with decals, or I would do it with textures because it's easier, right? So, you know, I would just texture this and then start using small decals on this. So let's say that we're going to run the material works on that. So let's go with I don't know, maybe half-mod steel, and these buttons could be some kind of coated titanium or whatever. Let me just turn on the box cutter. Copy this here. There we go, and you know, that looks good. And then we can have some smaller details on top of this, you know, so like screws and whatnot. So if, you know, honestly, if I was doing that, I'll be using decals because it's so much easier, right? So, you know, something like this would be cool. Somewhere here, and, you know. And then you need to really think where you want these details to be dropped, because you don't want to, you know, drop them willy-nilly, okay? Tertiary details supposed to be kind of like a cherry on the top of a cake, okay? So you gotta go easy on them. You cannot just drop them everywhere. They need to be concentrated in the areas when there's already detail. So let me show you what I mean. Let me just change the color here. Well, this will do. So select these and match. And then hold shift. This actually is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with that. Awesome. So you see that these are really tiny details, but they're quite visible, and they kind of take care of this empty space here very nicely. So you got a concentration of detail in this area because you got all these cuts, planar shifts, bevels, shadows, highlights. So this all creates detail, okay? So you want to concentrate stuff in here. Like I told you before, I want to leave this area kind of empty, but we could do something here. For example, we could add a sticker, you know, some such. So we could just go with, you know, something like this, right? And drop it in here. So when someone pulls this out from the machine, they're gonna be, you know, they will know that this is something they're gonna be careful with, because the surface is gonna be hot, whatnot. And you know, here too we could have some detail in the middle, so we could just go here and add the cursor here. And if you do that, you're gonna be able to add decals on the cursor, right? So you're gonna be able to do this. So Shift S to cursor, scale it in, and then simply, you know, match. And let's just project it, and then match the middle as well. So D match, hold Shift, and Bob's your uncle. Do you know what I mean? And there you go. And you got a really nice detail over there. Here on sides we could have something as well, so probably something different than on the other side. So I don't want a screw, so I want something else. So we could have actually, you know, some kind of maybe some kind of a light. Why not? Some kind of indicator. You don't want to make it huge like this, right? When you add lights, you want to be subtle. Okay, really subtle. And we could actually add it somewhere here. Right, so, you know what I mean? Because when you make it huge, it just looks cartoonish and it's going to pull too much attention. You want to be subtle with... it's like picking up chicks, okay? You got to be subtle, do you know what I mean? Even if you drop innuendos and cock jokes, you gotta be subtle, so you don't scare the prey. Now here, we can add some longer stuff, speaking of innuendos. So we could do something like this, you know, this would be cool here in the bottom, because again, you got this massive empty space, and then you got this kind of a communication between these details. So this is gonna look really nice, kind of like some kind of a slot here, whatnot, connector. You just have to match it. You cannot really use materials on decals yet. We still need to work on this update. We're gonna be adding this to Materialworks, but you know, it's not there yet. Here too, we have a lot of opportunity for details. So we could, for example, add some buttons or whatnot that you press, you know. So we could add some kind of, let me see what we have here. And this will work, for example, right? So we're gonna have something new. Again, you don't want to put it in the middle. You want to just offset stuff, okay? Because it's gonna be more interesting, right? Here, like this. And we're good to go. And we can mirror it to the other side. Whoa. Mirror it to the other side. There we go. You see what I mean? And you got this nice distribution. Here we could have some smaller details, you know, you could have some vents or whatnot. So we could drop something like, where is this? Hang on. Something like this, maybe. This could actually work in here very nicely. Or even here, right? Something like this here. Project. And then D, match D, and hold shift. And boom, see what I mean? Closes nicely this area. Here we could have some text again, or some kind of a logo or whatnot, you know, calf robotics, whatever. So let's just adjust it. Pneumatics, whatever the hell. All right, so we could go in here, project. And you just want to go around your shape and, you know, start playing with ideas and, you know, adding details here and there, but you don't want to overdo it. Here too, you'd have something, you know, so something on one side or one corner, and the other could be just empty. So we could have kind of like a, some sort of like a connector. Let me add a cursor here. Let me drop this again. Shift S to cursor. There we go. D, adjust. Okay, and then just drop it in here, and then project it. There we go. That's better. And then we can match it. So D, hold shift, and there you go. And we also need to match this. There we go. That's better. And decals don't have to be, you know, different color. They can be the same color, because you will have details on them anyway. And this is gonna look much more clean and, you know, kind of a high tech. Here in the bottom too, we could have something. Let me think. Well, this looks interesting. Let's just drop that and see what happens. Hey, this is not bad actually. I like that. So D. Let's make it darker, and this is gonna be good. Copy to the other side. Yeah, so this looks really, really cool. Here as well, we could have some kind of, you know, lights or whatnot. So we could have something a bit more. That's actually really cool. D, adjust. That's better. But I want it the other way around, so. And also not as big. That's cool. There you go. And that looks pretty neat. This is how I would detail this, you know, just going around and look at what I can add and where. Like here, for example, is a good sort of an area for a trim sheet. So what we could do is go here and drop a trim sheet like this. The only problem with trim sheets is that at the moment you need textured trim sheets in order to add them. Non-textured trim sheets will not work. You will need to create a BSDF sort of a surface for a trim sheet for it to work. But you know, like I said, we're gonna be working on that. So eventually there's gonna be support for trim sheets. But trim sheets are a phenomenal way of, you know, adding details to your models like this, and it's just really easy and quick. And there you go. We got a really neat power cell. Very simple design. Didn't take us more than, you know, like half an hour, and it's a good practice to, you know, to work on these small models, because it doesn't really matter whether it's big model, you know, complex or not. The idea is the same, the rules are the same, the distribution of details is gonna be always the same, and you know, it's really important to understand these rules and how it all works, because then it doesn't matter what you design, it's always going to look balanced and kind of cool. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hope you learned something useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.